Hello there once again, it's your old pal Locke the Bounty Hunter, and on today's very special episode, I came across one of my favorite misandrists, Blanche, with a video title that just deeply intrigued me, so we're going to be checking this out. She's pretty much going to be lecturing us on why men aren't natural born leaders. I am sure that she has done her homework and that she's going to be coming up with all sorts of facts and figures to back up her claims. So let's not waste any more time and dive right in, shall we?
You will never convince me that men are natural leaders.
Yeah, we know. You don't want to be convinced, Blanche. You just want people to tell you that you're right. I'm not gonna do that, but continue.
Because have you ever seen a group of men? Which one of them's the leader?
The leader is the one who wears the coolest shirt, or has the coolest car, or whoever has asserted his dominance over the group. It really isn't any more complicated than that. You see, you would know that if you were a dude and you hung out with other dudes, but you're not, so you have no idea what you're talking about. That's not gonna stop you from flapping your gums, though.
What delineates groups of men is an astonishing lack of self-expression, of any sense of individuality, right? Men who hang out in groups especially will look exactly like one another.
Well, it really depends on the demographic. I mean, yeah, if you have a bunch of suit-wearing dude bros, yeah, they're going to bond over that commonality. Same for surfers and dudes who play in garage bands. The list goes on and on. It's proximity breeds familiarity. I mean, that's not a man thing. That's basic psychology that most 10th graders know.
Men do that wordlessly. Like for women to copy each other and stuff like that, that takes coordination. Men, they just sort of pick an aesthetic. That's what they really bond over.
And what exactly is wrong with that, Blanche?
Their followership, their submission to something, okay? Golfing, biker gangs, men who drive trucks.
Okay, you're describing common ground that men bond over. What is your point? I mean, you do realize that biker gangs or motorcycle clubs are pretty much just one gigantic brotherhood, right? It is a massive bonding thing, and most guys, in order to join those, have to go through hell and back. They just don't walk in and say, hey, I like bikes, can I be a member? Those dudes are put through the ringer. And you would know this if you've ever seen Sons of Anarchy, which I haven't.
Enough said, right? And to all these men, if you don't do what all of them are doing, then you get excluded. See, that's where I struggle to see the leadership parallel, right? Because normally when somebody does something different, that's leadership.
No, that is not leadership. That is dissent. That is the opposite of leadership. A leader will look at a group of people, will exert confidence and say, we are doing this. I order you to do it. And the people will look and say, yes, we respect your order. We will do it. That is leadership. When a person goes and uniquely does something different against the will of the person giving the orders, that is considered dissent, Blanche. I would tell you to read a dictionary, but again, you and reading, we already know you don't know how to do it. I don't really want to twist that knife any further. I know it's your shame.
That's uniqueness. That's originality. That is forward progress. But what about gatekeeping? Being a crab in a bucket is leadership, because these men can't handle a slight deviation from whatever aesthetic they've decided that being a man is, right? If it's like those lumberjack, beard, plaid shirt, beer dudes. If you don't drink beer, you're a girl. If you don't have a beard, you're a girl. What's it like kissing your boyfriend who doesn't have a beard? I bet it's like kissing a girl.
Where did you come up with this, Blanche? I am legitimately curious. Masculinity is on such a massive spectrum where you could have the brawny man aesthetic, you know, back before they decided to make the brawny man a brawny woman in the name of societal progress. You also had like the well-built dude bros who wore very nice suits. You also had the surfer guys, and not to mention the bikers. I mean, I do see the stereotype of gatekeeping beer as a man's drink, but nobody really takes that seriously. The only people who take that seriously are people on TV shows and idiot misandrists.
They see a structure and they fall right into it. It's comfortable. It's safe. It's what they like. Think about that. If one of them showed up in a skirt to the hangout, how are they going to treat that man?
They're going to treat him like an idiot, because unless that skirt is a kilt, a man should not be wearing a skirt. We've actually made this abundantly clear. This is something society has agreed upon for literally thousands of years. If a man shows up to his friend group wearing a skirt and it wasn't because he lost a bet, that man is going to be emasculated and made fun of, because men, they aren't supposed to wear skirts. I says it and I'll says it again if I have to.
What is bro code if not unilateral submission?
Bro code is not unilateral submission. It is a code of conduct held amongst brothers. You do not know this because you are just a hateful human being.
What is bro code if not the excuse to never be a leader ever in your life?
Bro code is to watch the back of your fellow brothers. It has nothing to do with leadership. It has everything to do with loyalty. But you don't know anything about loyalty. I don't see how anyone could ever be loyal to you without needing at least 10 million tons of aspirin and a whole lot of regret.
So many men could have led the way by now by telling the truth about what it is their bros do.
Oh, we do that all the time. We actually call our bros out whenever they're being idiots. That's also part of the bro code. Again, you don't know this because you don't have any friends.
They could have been actual leaders, and yet they chose to fall in line so that they wouldn't be shamed by the other men. That's follower behavior. That's not leader behavior. And again, if men were leaders and such, we'd see a lot more of them break social norms. We'd see a lot more of them actually do something unique.
You mean like create feats in engineering, create massive strides in science and medicine, military strategy, arts, philosophy, engineering, political science? You mean those things? All of those things that men have done, do they not count for anything? Well, no, of course they don't, because you deny every single one of them, because to accept those arguments would actually mean to prove that you're wrong. And Blanche, what are you if you're not right? Well, you're a failure, which you clearly are.
Even when they do go to break social norms, what do? They just copy women. They paint their nails. They do.
What? Oh, I got nothing. I got nothing. Men who break societal norms just paint their nails? Blanche, just drop the shovel. You're just digging yourself deeper now.
Their hair. They do their makeup. Unless it's falling in line or copying someone, can't do anything. Can't do anything of your own accord. You know, it's like before a man acts, he has to look around and make sure that's bro code.
What does that have to do with bro code? If a man is looking around to see if his friends will make fun of him, that's not bro code. That is common sense. Brothers will look out for each other. They'll prevent the man from doing something stupid, like walking up to you and talking to you, or they'll encourage him to do something stupid so they can make fun of him later and have a story to tell. That's more or less bro code in a nutshell.
Okay, he has to look around and make sure everyone is generally in the same kind of mindset. It's lemming behavior, little followers. At best, there will be one leader in a whole group of men. It's the man that they all decided was the leader. The follower mindset is in absolutely everything that they do. That's the thing. There's no true independence. The reason that men become obsessed with systematizing and organizing things and like having laws about things is because they want to know who fits in and who stands out.
Well, also because we need laws in order to have a functioning society. That's kinda sort of important, Blanche. And lest we forget, it was men who actually wrote the founding document of this country that allows you to spew out this type of venom without any type of reproach. I mean, come on, Blanche. You really need to think about these things before you say them.
Not so that the people who stand out can be encouraged and rewarded and put in the positions of leadership, but so that they can be punished for not being a follower.
No, leadership is earned. Just because a dude puts on a dress and throws some makeup on his face does not make him qualified to be a leader, Blanche. All that means is that he needs to make himself feel special and to be recognized because he cannot earn anything on his own merits. I am sorry, but being a leader means making tough choices. It doesn't mean viewing yourself as a special, delicate little flower.
That's why men always create systems that are exclusive versus inclusive.
Yeah, it's called having people with common interests. You do the exact same thing, Blanche.
Because if you are too inclusive, then it is not clear enough who is the leader and who are the followers. And men really like to have that clear, delineated structure of what are we all doing?
Blanche, society needs leaders. Because if we don't, we have anarchy. And if we have anarchy, nothing gets accomplished. So what exactly is your solution? You seem to be the expert on this one. You're the one throwing around sweeping generalizations, so please enlighten me.
That's what like the majority of our rules and laws and even our unspoken rules and laws come from. Men's need to belong, to not stand out, to not be a leader. Men actually feel the most comfortable in a structured situation where they know their place.
Actually, men feel most comfortable when they're not constricted. A man has an overwhelming desire to be free and to find peace. And when they're being subjugated in a system where they quote unquote know their place is a living hell for most men. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't need laws and we need order in our society. We need that in order to function. So what does this have to do with leadership, Blanche? Please, I mean, for the love of God, is there a point to any of this?
None of that is leadership. Leadership requires risk-taking and thinking outside the box.
No, leadership requires being able to make difficult decisions for the benefit of the whole. Leadership means respecting the virtue of the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few.
Which is not something a lot of men like to do if you think about it.
Yeah, I took 2 seconds to think about it, and you're absolutely wrong, Blanche. Men have actually blazed trails in incredibly different fields from art to politics for literally thousands of years. They have thought outside the box in more ways than one. And I'm not even that big of a student of history, and I know this, Blanche, so I don't know what the hell your excuse is.
What man do you know that actually thinks outside the box? His first urge is not to like turn to a rule book or a playbook or the internet or something like that. Exactly. They're just not leadership oriented. It's not in their nature, and that's okay. And I've said this before, but think to all the structures that men have invented. Not only is there an order, but there is also a huge element of fitting in and being like everybody else. The army only like differentiated by like, you know, little hats and like medals and stuff like that, but everybody gets the same one so that everybody knows what they are.
Yes, Blanche, that is because a military is an organized fighting unit that is needed for defense. In the event that these forces need to be mobilized for warfare, there needs to be an organized structure. Okay, there needs to be an organized level of command. That is how militaries work. Okay, please do not shit all over the branches of the armed forces. Okay, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marines all do incredibly specific jobs, and they couldn't be more different from each other. They all have their own codes of conduct. They have their own traditions. They have their own culture, every single one of them. Okay? And for you to just openly disrespect them because you're butthurt over the fact that you can't even lead a freaking cooking session in your own kitchen. Come on, Blanche, just because you failed at life, that's not the Army's fault.
And everybody can keep ranks and maintain order because that's how men feel comfortable.
They maintain order because that is how you command an army, you stupid wretch.
That's like their safe space. In schools, you know, like early schools always had uniforms and things like that. It's because belonging and being part of the crowd is very important to men.
Actually, the uniforms were a part of discipline. At least I think they were. I don't know. I'm a victim of intergalactic space public school. We wore what we wanted, and I don't really think we benefited from that.
They don't value independence or leadership.
Neither do you. You value conformity and submission.
They really don't. Not with their actions. With their words, yes, but not with their actions. And as a woman, you need to see that. You need to be aware of that before you trust a man to lead you off the edge of a cliff.
But you will lead a man into an ambush of napalm and bear traps. And you'll do it over the most minor of offenses. So I really don't see what you're trying to prove here, Blanche.
It's the only place where they're going to lead you if you let them be truly independent. They don't have that sense. They need to look to a system. This is why we have rules, laws, and religion. Women don't need that stuff. Look at the crime statistics. Women don't need that stuff.
Actually, we really do need that stuff if we're looking at some of the crimes that women have perpetrated. Oh man, if we lived in a lawless society, oh boy. Yeah, yikes.
It's actually kind of crazy. They're not unique, they're not original. And a lot of the things that they shame women over are just projection.
Speak for yourself, Blanche.
Men systematize things because they have no independence, no creativity in their own head.
And what exactly have you created, Blanche, outside of division and hateful talking points that go nowhere, of course? What have you created? It's certainly not life. At least I hope not. My God, I'd feel horrible for that kid if you did.
I'm not saying it's bad to systematize things. I'm not saying we haven't benefited from it.
That's literally what you're saying. You are bashing men for organizing things. And you're saying that if it wasn't for that, then women would thrive. That is literally what you're saying. You can't just make all of these crazy statements and then backtrack at the last second. I mean, my memory sucks, but it's not that bad.
But to call men leaders in the face of that is crazy. Just because you can look at something and copy it or systematize it or find a way to profit from it by exploiting it, that does not make you a leader. That actually makes you uncreative and a hoarder.
All you do is profit off of politically heated talking points, Blanche. That is all you do. You have not created anything unique or original.
Because I'm going to also need you to try to think of a time when a man actually exemplified the qualities of a good leader.
Oh, gee whiz. Let's see. There was Dwight D. Eisenhower during World War II. Napoleon Bonaparte during his conquest, even though it did bite him in the ass after the invasion of Russia. It was all downhill from there, but still a solid leader. He brought back France from the brink on that one. I mean, we can't forget Mike Ditka. Like, there are plenty of men that have exemplified the qualities of a good leader. Now, just because you're too lazy to open up a history book, I totally get it. Books are patriarchy, Blanche. And I understand that you can't read. I don't really want to, make that insecurity known to everybody that you can't read, Blanche, because you can't read. Just because you refuse to see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
While he was in a leadership position, when he made a mistake, that he didn't resign, that he didn't try to throw somebody else under the bus, that he didn't pardon himself, didn't just keep pushing his own self-interest.
Well, then you name them. Name those leaders, Blanche. Because for every single leader that has been corrupted by power, I can name leaders who weren't. I mean, for the love of tennis, Blanche, you are bad at this.
Until it was too late for everybody else. Try to think of a man like that. I know, it's really hard.
Well, George Washington, I mean, he was like that to a certain point. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect leader, Blanche. There isn't. Every single leader is going to have some kind of a fault. Now, I want you to name a female leader who exemplifies all of those qualities. Every single one, who never made a single mistake or didn't benefit from the suffering of others. Go ahead. I'll wait.
It's really hard. Like, who among men is actually a great leader? None of them. None of them. They all suck.
If you have thrived in a society that was built and maintained by men, how come there are no good men, Blanche? Go ahead and answer me that. I know you can't, because that would actually require you to admit that you're wrong. And I understand that your universe will collapse if you do that. So don't worry. You don't need to answer that question, because we all know you can't.
All did terrible things one way or another, and were terrible for whatever country they were leading or running or whatever, and didn't do a damn thing to fix it. And
you don't build empires by being nice about things, Blanche. Oh! And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.